As the last faint streaks of daylight gently fade behind the horizon, everything outside begins to return to the primal stillness of the night. Our lives are inherently a continuous transition of the seasons of the year, and the human soul is no different. There are seasons for sowing seeds, seasons for harvesting, and seasons when we need to learn to let go of the withered leaves to make room for a new sprout to be born. A nostalgic heart is sometimes like an anchor, holding us back to old currents of memory. But when we learn to be compassionate with ourselves, packing away the somber notes of yesterday, we realize that spring is always patiently waiting for us, right at the threshold. Tonight, there is no need to rush. There is nothing to regret. You have fully completed a long day with all your efforts, and now is the most sacred time to dedicate solely to yourself, to warm your soul and find deep peace within. Before we embark together on this gentle healing journey, please take a brief moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. That will be a warm connection so that every night when darkness falls, we can accompany each other again in peaceful spaces like this. For now, let all worries drift away and allow yourself to completely loosen up. Begin by finding a truly comfortable position for yourself on your familiar bed. You can lie on your back with both arms resting naturally along your body, or lie on your side, as long as you feel your body is most fully supported. Adjust the pillow under your head, pull the warm blanket up to your chest, enveloping your body like a small, safe, and warm cocoon. When everything is ready, gently close your eyelids. No need to squeeze them shut. Just let the eyelids touch each other softly, blocking out any remaining light in the room. Now, direct your attention to your own breath. Inhale deeply through your nose, feeling the cool, fresh air filling your chest, expanding your lungs, and awakening a fresh source of energy inside. Hold for a brief moment. Then slowly, very calmly, exhale completely through your mouth. Imagine you are blowing away a thin plume of smoke, and along with that smoke, all the fatigue, the cluttered thoughts of today follow the breath out, dissolving into space. Let us repeat this once more. Inhale deeply. Slowly feel your belly expand, bringing the purity and stillness of the night into every single cell. Then exhale very slowly, relaxing your entire body. One more time. Inhale peace and exhale every burden. Very good. Maintain a natural, steady rhythm of breathing. No need to try to control it. Just observe the breath coming in and going out like small waves in the ocean, gently lapping against the sandy shore and then smoothly gliding back to the vast sea. Now, let us take a journey of relaxation from the top of your head down to the very tips of your toes. Bring your awareness to your forehead. Let the muscles on your forehead smooth out, wiping away any creases of thought or worry. Continue to spread this relaxation down to your eyes. Let the muscles around your eyes loosen completely, your eyeballs sinking down gently. The tension in your cheeks also gradually vanishes. Your jaw relaxes, and your lips part just a little to release all the pressure accumulated after a long day of talking and smiling. The gentle warmth from your breath is beginning to spread down to your neck and shoulders. Your shoulders, which have carried so much work and responsibility throughout the day, can now drop, entirely letting go upon the mattress. No more bracing, no more stiffness. This relaxation continues to flow down your arms, passing through your elbows, forearms, wrists, and flooding into the 10 fingertips. You might feel your fingers warming up slightly, or a very pleasant, faint tingling sensation, which is a sign that deep relaxation is beginning to take effect. Continue to guide your focus to your chest. Feel your chest rise and fall rhythmically with each breath. With every exhalation, let your abdomen, your hips, and your entire back sink even deeper into the mattress below. Imagine the mattress is like a smooth, warm bed of sand, cradling your entire body, supporting you with absolute safety. You no longer need to hold on to any strength. Yield the entire weight of your body to the bed. The soft relaxation, like a stream of warm water, continues to pour down your thighs, loosening your legs, passing through your knees, calves, ankles, and the soles of your feet. Your feet, which have carried you across so many paths and through so many tasks today, are also resting now, completely letting go. From the crown of your head to the heels of your feet, there is no longer any small corner of your body holding onto tension. Your entire body right now feels weightless, like a fluffy cloud drifting freely in the quiet night sky, or like a dry leaf gently releasing itself into a cool stream, floating along leisurely, without direction, without encumbrance. In this quiet space, you are absolutely safe. No one is demanding anything from you right now. There is no task you need to complete at this moment. Everything from today has been left behind, and tomorrow has not yet arrived. Presently, there is only you, this warm bed, and a soul that is gradually becoming clear and still, like the surface of a pond without a single ripple. Continue to maintain that soothing breath. Surrender yourself to the embrace of the darkness, and get ready for your mind to step into a distant journey, to a peaceful land where ancient melodies are waiting to soothe your nostalgic heart. When your body has completely unwound and your mind has temporarily bidden farewell to the clamor of the long day, let me take your hand of thought, gently guiding you away from your current room. Imagine we are stepping together onto a soft cloud of mist, leisurely flying across spaces, transcending geographical boundaries to find our way back to the Wallonia region, nestled in the peaceful south of Belgium. This is a land of lush green valleys, gently winding rivers, and ancient forests steeped in legends. As the mist cloud carries us down, you will realize you are standing at the edge of the Lesse River Valley, right at the moment when night begins to fall, draping a veil of deep blue silk across the entire space. Everything here is sinking into a pure, gentle silence. The flat Lesse River glides peacefully like a long mirror, sliding smoothly between steep limestone cliffs. The water does not rush. It flows leisurely, creating tiny faint whispers that blend into the rustling of the old oak canopies whenever a night breeze drifts by. The air here carries a crisp coldness characteristic of the Ardennes mountains when winter has just departed and the breath of spring is beginning to bloom. It is a clean, damp air filled with the scent of night dew, mingled with the rustic aroma of wild grass and moist earth after long days of frost. Every time you breathe in, that gentle coldness seems to purify your soul, soothing even the deepest, most hidden wounds of the heart. Nestled among the rolling hills of this valley lies Crupet, one of the most ancient and beautiful villages in Wallonia. Looking down from above, the village appears like a fairy tale painting rendered in warm, rustic tones. The houses here were built in the previous century, entirely from the gray limestone quarried from the Mother Earth of the Ardennes itself. The thick stone walls stand sturdy against time, covered with a layer of deep green moss in the shaded corners. Above them are roofs tiled with sleek black slate. Under the faint light of the moon and the night mist, those black slate roofs shimmer with faint silver reflections, like a soft silk ribbon protecting the peace of the village. Strolling along the winding cobblestone paths of Crupet village on a spring night like this, you will feel a sense of absolute protection and safety. The oil lamps hanging before the porches of the ancient stone houses cast faint, glowing amber halos, shimmering through the thick mist that is starting to settle low. From the ancient brick chimneys, the smoke trails of the afternoon have now turned into pale gray, fragile wisps, winding and then diffusing into the night air. The smoke carries the scent of oak and pine wood burning richly in the hearths inside. It is a highly unique fragrance. It has the rich warmth of pine resin, the cozy heat of old oak, and the familiar closeness of a home. The wood smoke warms the crisp air, creating a comforting sensation that makes anyone stepping foot here feel as though they have just returned home from a long, distant journey. Beside the village, a small stream flows around, bubbling merrily over smooth pebbles, creating a steady, rhythmic sound like a natural ambient melody, guiding everything deeper into a state of stillness. In the distance, the ancient oak and pine forests stand motionless in the dark night, like giant, loyal gatekeepers, enveloping and guarding the sleep of the villagers of Crupet. There are no car horns here, no bright city lights, only the flickering firelight hidden behind frosted glass windows and the gentle sigh of nature as night takes over. Inside the old stone house located at the center of the village, a soul is also standing by the window, looking out into the small courtyard where the night dew is beginning to rest, glistening on the wild flowers that have just bloomed after a long winter sleep. That is Émile, a young man bearing a poignantly nostalgic heart. His home, with its rustic gray stone walls and a hearth crackling with red fire, is the central setting for tonight's story. Here, the transition between the cold of the old winter and the warmth of the new spring is taking place in silence. Here, the brass saxophone resting on the old oak table is waiting to sing a healing love song for wounds yet unnamed. Let your mind sink deeper into the space of Crupet village. Feel the warmth from the fireplace of Émile's house, gently spreading outward, and get ready to listen to his story, a story meant solely to comfort your sleep. Inside his ancient stone house at the heart of Crupet village, Émile remained motionless beside the small window frame made of old oak wood. He wore a rustic shirt made of ivory white linen, the soft fabric having been washed many times, and over it, a thick wool vest of a warm, earthy brown. The wooden shoe sabots he used for gardening this afternoon, still carrying a faint scent of damp earth and bits of wild grass, had been placed neatly and squarely by the stone doorstep. Émile looked out at the small yard in front of his house, where the early spring night dew was beginning to settle, glistening like tiny crystals on the wild flowers that had just blossomed after a long winter sleep. The harsh winter had just passed, and the breath of spring was budding in the crisp cold typical of the Ardennes mountains. The cold was no longer biting, but carried a freshness, a silent transformation of the land of Wallonia. Émile turned slightly, walking back toward the old oak table placed in the middle of the room. He extended his slender hand, gently touching the brass saxophone resting quietly on the tabletop. The fire from the red brick hearth crackled and burned, reflecting onto the polished brass body of the horn, creating shimmering orange-gold streaks of light that danced to the rhythm of the flames. To Émile, this saxophone was not merely a musical instrument. It was a deeply hidden corner of his soul, a place where he entrusted thoughts that could not be named with words. The saxophone notes of this land, of the children born beside the Lesse River, carried a truly unique timbre. It possessed the deep, sturdy resonance of the Ardennes Mother Earth. It had the echoing, proud vibration of the ancient limestone cliffs, and it held the softness and fluidity of the mist gliding over the Lesse River every peaceful morning. But tonight, as his fingers brushed against the cold brass keys, his heart rippled with waves of memory, the swelling nostalgia of the mists of yesteryear. In this ancient village, during past festival seasons, there had once been a pure, gentle love that was never given a name. It was the girl with the bouncing hazel-brown hair, the one who had walked with him through the most beautiful years of his youth. They had walked together under the oak canopies, gathering ripe, juicy berries in the ancient oak forest during late afternoons. But then, each person's dreams diverged. That girl chose to leave this peaceful valley behind, to stay with the bright lights and bustle of distant Brussels. They parted ways gently, without bitter arguments, without resentment or blame, simply because the paths forward for each of them had diverged. The happiness of those days had now become a part of the past, neatly and squarely stored within Émile's poignant memories. Although he had tried to move on, whenever a new season knocked on the door, his nostalgic heart could not help but feel a pang of wistfulness, lingering on the somber note of the old days. But tonight was a special night, the night of the Grand Feu festival, a long-standing traditional festival of the Walloon people. Every first night of spring, the villagers gathered to build a massive bonfire to banish all the cold, darkness, and misfortunes of the old winter, and to summon warmth, peace, and bright hopes for the village. Émile was still very young, and he deeply understood that it was time to put away the sorrowful melodies of the past into the leather case, to let his heart be warmed and healed by the fire of this year's spring. He could not stand by the window forever looking at the past, when life outside was overflowing with new vitality. In the center of the small square of Crupet village, a large bonfire had been expertly constructed from fragrant pine logs and dry oak wood. The villagers began to leisurely gather here. They wore traditional attire that was elegant and refined. The Walloon women looked graceful in long pleated skirts of deep blue, rustic aprons embroidered with tiny flowers along the rim, and over their slender shoulders they draped thick wool shawls to keep warm against the crisp spring night air. Cheerful chatter and warm greetings echoed, breaking the still air of the stone village. Émile walked slowly out from the shadows of the winding cobblestone path, holding the leather case containing his cherished saxophone tightly in his hands. He walked with a calm demeanor, telling himself that tonight he would play an entirely new melody. No longer a song of farewell, but a love song to welcome the good things, the new beginnings about to arrive in his life. From the other side of the flickering bonfire, amid the lively laughter of the villagers, a figure both strange and familiar suddenly appeared in Émile's line of sight. It was not the past lover from last year's misty seasons. It was a young woman of slender, gentle stature, standing and watching the flames leap up, with eyes full of emotion and reflecting the firelight. She wore a warm coat of plum red velvet, her small hands cradling a little bag filled with souvenirs brought back from the city. The village elder, a man with a snow-white beard and a benevolent face, stepped out from the crowd toward Émile. He placed a heavy, warm hand firmly on the young man's shoulder and said in a deep, hearty voice, "Émile, you see that girl standing over there? That is Céline, the daughter of the old blacksmith at the edge of the village from years ago. After many years of studying and working, she has just decided to leave the chaotic city to return home for good, taking over her family's old stone house. Tonight, let the sound of your horn welcome a child of the Ardennes back home." Émile looked in the direction the village elder pointed. Right at that moment, as if driven by an invisible thread of destiny, Céline also turned her face. The flickering bonfire clearly illuminated her bright countenance, her rosy skin, and her smile as radiant as a spring flower. In Céline, there was no trace of the sorrow of parting or the exhaustion of the city. Instead, she radiated a deeply warm, fresh energy. She was like a lush green sprout that had found its way back to fertile ground, the familiar homeland, after long days of frost in a foreign land. Émile's heart moved gently, a light, fresh, and strangely peaceful feeling weaving into every corner of his soul. He realized that the beauty of life does not lie in what has been lost, but in the wonders unfolding right before his eyes. Holding his saxophone, he walked slowly closer to the fire, nodding slightly to greet the returning girl with a warm, friendly gaze. Céline smiled back, a smile that made the crisp spring night air seem to melt away. When the Grand Feu bonfire was burning richly, the oak logs crackling now and then, the flames turned a warm rose red, radiating a highly comforting heat that warmed the entire square. Émile stepped onto a high stone platform built next to the village's century-old ancient oak tree. He raised the brass saxophone to his chest, gently closing his eyes. He took a deep breath, feeling the crispness of the misty air and the rich scent of burning pine wood smoke enveloping him. As his long fingers gently touched the brass keys, the first note officially resonated. Ooh, oh, It was a deep, full sound, echoing yet absolutely free of the choked-up trace or regret of the old autumns. The melody was soft and fluid, like an invisible current spreading into space, weaving through the mossy leaves of the ancient oaks, floating over the rooftops covered in black slate, shimmering with night dew, and then gliding down onto the soft, gentle waters of the Lesse River. The piece he played tonight carried a slow, leisurely rhythm, yet was filled with bright colors, like the first ray of spring sunshine gently warming the earth after cold days. It was a love song of rebirth, of compassion, and of beginnings full of hope. Céline stood under the canopy of the ancient oak tree, listening intently to each note as it rose. Émile's horn touched her heart in a wondrous and profound way. During her years of wandering, facing the pressures of the extravagant city, she had always carried a longing for the warm scent of oakwood smoke, the rustic gray stone houses, and the babbling of the dear small stream of Crupet village. And now, the deep, compassionate saxophone notes of Émile were like a certain reassurance, a sacred welcome, proclaiming that she was truly home, a place where peaceful arms and a gentle Mother Earth were waiting to receive her back. Émile played his horn while slightly opening his eyes to look at Céline below the platform. Through the hazy mist of the spring night and the dancing red firelight, he saw her closing her eyes, her face completely at ease, gently swaying her body to his slow melody. The memories of the old love, the regrets of yesterday in Émile's heart at this moment were no longer a bleeding wound, but had transformed into a beautiful landscape painting of the past, placed neatly in a revered corner of his heart. It made room for a peaceful void, ready to receive the new sounds, the beautiful new melodies of life. The villagers standing around also gradually closed their eyes, swaying their bodies to the enchanting music of the horn. In that sacred moment, everything seemed to stop. Time seemed to stand still. The mist from the hilltop settled lower and lower, enveloping the ancient village of Crupet like a soft, pure white, and peaceful blanket of down. As the Grand Feu festival drew to a close, the large bonfire left behind only glowing embers, and the villagers leisurely and peacefully returned to their homes. Émile stepped down from the stone platform, walking slowly towards Céline as he saw her sorting out her handbag on the ancient cobblestone street. The night dew was now thick, turning the oil lamps hanging before the porches into faint, blurry, and dreamlike halos of light. "Hello, Céline. I am Émile. Welcome back to our beautiful Lesse River Valley." Émile spoke first, his voice deep and gentle, blending into the quiet night. Céline raised her head, her eyes sparkling with joy and admiration. "Hello, Émile. The melody just now was truly wonderful. It touched the very depths of my soul." It made me feel all the fatigue and anxiety of the long journey fade away completely. Émile smiled, a kind smile. He pointed toward his stone house not far away, where the ancient chimney was still breathing faint gray wisps of warm smoke into the air. The night dew is very cold, and the way home is misty. My house has vegetable soup, clay pot meat stew warming on the stove, and some sugar tart au sucre, that my mother just baked this afternoon. If you don't mind, come inside to eat a bit to warm up and recharge before you go to tidy up your family's old house. Céline nodded slightly. The sincerity, warmth, and characteristic hospitality of her homeland making her heart overflow with happiness and peace of mind. That would be wonderful. Thank you for your kindness, Émile. The oak door of the ancient house opened, and the rich warmth from the fireplace immediately rushed out, embracing them both. Émile's stone house was filled with the alluring, sweet aroma of butter and baked brown sugar from the tart au sucre. They removed their outer coats and sat down on the warm woolen sofa next to the fireplace, crackling with red flames. On the oak table, Émile had thoughtfully prepared 2 mugs of hot chocolate, the thick, rich, deep brown liquid steaming gently, bringing a sweet flavor laced with a relaxing hint of bitterness. They enjoyed the hot Ardennes meat stew together, rich with rustic countryside flavor. Céline enthusiastically and passionately told Émile about her plans and dreams upon returning to the village, about the primal love she had always held for the ancient oak forests and the simple streams here. Émile listened intently, without interrupting, occasionally responding to her in a leisurely, gentle tone and with eyes full of understanding. The dang past had completely retreated behind the oak door. Amid the quiet space of the stone house, with only the sound of wood crackling now and then in the hearth, a new connection was gently, silently blossoming. It took place in a way as natural and clear as the early morning mist on the Lesse River. No need to rush, no need for grand or flowery promises. They were simply 2 young souls finding resonance and warmth by the red hearth welcoming the spring. Outside, the mist had completely blanketed the ancient village of Crupet. The ancient oak and pine forests stood motionless in the thick night, like giant, loyal gatekeepers, guarding the peaceful sleep of the villagers. The small stream flowing around the village still untiringly babbled, rock, 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 creating a steady, rhythmic sound like a natural lullaby, gradually guiding all things into a deep and peaceful sleep. Inside the old stone house, the fire in the hearth, after burning brightly all night, began to die down, leaving only glowing embers that radiated a gentle, sufficient warmth. The hot chocolate in the mugs was low, and the sweet sugar tart had brought them both a feeling of immense comfort, fullness, and ultimate relaxation. After walking Céline back to the stone house opposite across the dew-drenched cobblestone street, Émile returned to the window of his home. He watched her slender figure dissolve into the blurry mist, then turned to look at the saxophone resting on the table. His heart at this moment felt completely light, a feeling of peace and wondrous gentleness occupying his mind. He knew that tomorrow, when the sun rose, when the first ray of spring light warmed the Lesse River valley, he would walk with that girl, under the lush green oak canopies and begin to write new chapters, beautiful new bright melodies of his life. Every old memory was now neatly stored away, making room for a future filled with warm sunshine. The love song for the new season sends a gentle message about courage and compassion toward oneself. The past, whether beautiful or unfinished, is a collection of precious stones, paving our path to growth. True happiness does not lie in stubbornly holding on to old memories that have passed, but in knowing how to store them in a revered corner of the heart, ready to open one's mind to receive the fresh rays of spring. When we dare to step past the regrets of yesterday, life will always grant us wondrous, warm, and deserving encounters in the future.